Pjero Mardesic.
Nathaniel Bibby.
What's happening, dude?
Not much, man. I've been chilling today. I've had a couple of clients this morning, and I've actually been really stoked to talk to you again because it's been a while since we've done something together on screen again.
Yeah. Well, during that countdown, no one else will see this, but it was like LinkedIn's not broadcasting, delete the broadcast, set up a new one. And so like I've just fixed that. Like if you go to my
Is it
profile,
Can
you
I
can see
share
it
it?
there. It's on. It's
Is it on?
Like yeah. If you go to someone's LinkedIn profile, right, it plays. Look at this. It plays in the background banner. How good's that?
Oh, if LinkedIn, if you're watching right now, that is so cool. No other platform does that. Hey,
LinkedIn
that's
always
cool.
watches Monday Night Live.
We got LinkedIn always watches. I'm gonna leave it there. Like, can I? This is awesome. So there's 10 people watching. Thank you for watching already, everybody.
Yeah, well, normally the countdown gives it a chance for the thousands to come in, and so so
International.
PJ is how I like to call him, is in his Sydney media studio, right? But if we zoom out like this, I can catch him
And we
off.
shift this aside, and this is there's his bed in the background. I sleep in my office. I sleep in my office.
See, all those dudes that say, "Oh, but PJ's got a studio."
What is it? Perspective.
No
It's all
excuses,
perspective,
guys.
Nathaniel.
No
all
excuses. Who we got? We got Oliver here on LinkedIn. Wish everyone a
Oliver.
successful week. That's the way to start.
Welcome.
Trinandat, I'm pronouncing it right. Trinandat Mishra. Great to see Bibi and there's so many names
Pjero.
I can't pronounce. Pjero.
Let's talk more on soul and what? What did he say? Soul and
Paul.
Hey, Paul.
Soul of mind, yeah. Paul's in
okay.
the house. He's fully committed.
Fully committed. Paul's fully
Luigi, my man.
Hey,
Luigi in a while.
Luigi.
There we go.
You know what? My boys just got the Mario and Luigi Lego sets, mate. They have got such better Lego than what we did, Bibby. Because we're the same age. You know that.
Yeah.
We shouldn't talk about age, but we are.
Yeah. Well. Yeah, you're a good-looking man.
So are you. So are you.
I'd guess that. Luigi always comes when I've got the big guests on.
As Luigi's probably waiting to be invited. Has he been a guest?
Yeah, he's always welcome. I feel like we've gone back and forth. I need to close him down. He's a busy man.
He is. He is. He's a sales expert, isn't he, Mr. Luigi?
Oh, mate, he's a closing machine. All right, so let's give a bit of background because not every. Oh, here we go. See,
Hey, of course, he's listening.
So give us a bit of background, mate. How did it all begin? What's your mission? I know you're a very mission-focused young man. Tell us a bit about your background for those of you that haven't come across you before.
Okay, let's have some fun with this. So my name's Pjero Mardesic. Nathaniel got it right. It was great of him to introduce me perfectly. It was lovely. My father's Croatian, my mother's Filipino, and a lot of people think that like there's lots of this going on in the background. You can't really see it, but most people think that I'm Italian or a Kiwi, and I'm just like, no, I think it's just the looks. I'm blessed with my looks from my father and my mother. There's lots of culture in my background, like lots of it, lots of family stuff. And the biggest thing that I truly remember is when I was at school, I had to say my name so much because even teachers would stumble, right? So because they were reading out the class roll, because it was a private school, and then I know that they would get to my name because they would be like, and I was like, Pjero Mardesic, Pjero Mardesic. Like my mum taught me to get it down pat. So I was like that. So that was the kind of growing up you could imagine I got. It was very straightforward. It was firm. I wouldn't say strict. There were parts of it that were. But, some things about me, I guess, background that are going to bring it to light. It's like I was labeled dyslexic at the age of 8. And I thought, what does that mean? Because obviously I had no idea. But I got to wear glasses like Elton John and Britney Spears, but mine were blue. And I got to have a reader and a writer in all of my exams. So I just thought I was cool. I just thought I was awesome, and I didn't really understand what all that meant. And I guess at the age of, like, when I fast track, I guess, to the age of 10 and 14, what really set stone in my life was there was an addiction that started around the age of 14. And it wasn't pretty. It's porn at the age of 14. And that really set the cornerstone for what I believe has put me on the trajectory that I'm on now. I didn't understand what it meant. It's one of those things that you don't really know what it is until you start looking at it and you're like, what does all that mean, right?
Yeah.
So then I started to use that as a coping mechanism. And part of my life, I developed a number of coping mechanisms. And one of them was exceptional leadership. So when I started work at 14 and 9 months at McDonald's, I really wanted to own a McDonald's. And I started looking into that. And you have to work in a McDonald's. You have to know how to change a garbage bin to work all the way up and then purchase one. You can't just come in as a side note and go, oh, I'm just going to invest in one. You can't do that. So that really set me off on this idea about business. And then, I love telling the funny stories about school. I was the class clown and I was attention seeking because obviously the addiction in the background was over here. I didn't want anyone to know about it. So I was being like attention seeking over here. So what happened in that moment was a teacher came over to me in year 8 and she said, you just got to stop being the class clown. And I said, but it's so much fun. And she said, yeah, but it's not the way to do it. She said, your grades are lacking and this and this. And I said, oh, okay. So she goes, you know what? Here's the thing. You're not a class clown. You're actually a keynote speaker. And I just, in that moment, I was like, what the fuck? Anyway, I got in trouble for that because I swore in a private school. And she said, no, you need to understand, why are you gaining people's attention? And I just said, I just love the idea of, everyone having a laugh and, just informing people, even if it's just a joke. And she goes, it's perfect. And I said, I don't know what you mean. And now she was like, now it all makes sense. So 3 years later, year 12, public speaking competition, I came second. So coming from this dyslexic background, couldn't read, could barely write, didn't understand comprehension, going through schooling that way with this underlying addiction that I had all the way up until the age of 30, I didn't really understand it. So there's a little bit of background about school and work. In work, I was just all about leadership. I was just all about making sure that my team knew what was going on, that everyone was congruent and everyone was clear about what they had to do in the day. So from a very young age at 18, when I was at Telstra, I implemented this idea around everybody had to understand 80% of the next person's job. And I just made sure that we all knew that. And when everyone knew that, then it doesn't matter if someone was away or not, it wouldn't happen. This continued throughout other areas, other businesses. So when I was working, one of the things that I love sharing is that I've got 2 decades of leadership roles across a multitude of industries. And that started with telecommunications, finance, HR, recruitment, personal training, service development in cars, the service side, and then the retail, the front end. And it didn't matter which one I worked in. I made sure that I started at the bottom and I worked my way up to the top position. I wanted to really understand it. That whole McDonald's theory gave me that setting.
Yep.
So, that's a little bit about me and, why it all started, because this is answering the second part of your question. Why it started? I saw this opportunity that in all of the times that I've been working for someone else, I thought to myself, but I know the same thing. And I'm already starting to sit here getting agitated, going I understand that from my perspective where I'm sitting, that this would work better, this would work better. But I didn't get it from that very, very, very high director, CEO director level. So I thought to myself, well, why not just do it for myself? And that's when Addicted to Grow was born.
Addicted to grow. Love it. So, so you had this addiction to porn, like from a young child till the age of 30. At what age and with whom did you become, well, not, I don't know if you would have become comfortable. What age and with whom did you start talking about it with first to become, I mean, you've obviously got some degree of, being able to discuss it on a live like this. You've obviously, come to terms with it and you're able to talk about it now. Was it a counselor? Was it a family member? Was it a friend?
So it was my mentor 3 years ago. And it really came down to when I wanted to really delve into writing a book. And I thought, well, her words were, do the 0 to 21 story. Write that for yourself. Just understand your background, understand it all, write it all out, give all the gory details, like give me everything. And when I did that, it started to open up another level of myself. So if we go back a bit, it was always a joke at school. It was really always a joke. Because my school friends and I would go home after school and just have a bit of fun, right?
Yeah.
But what I found really eye-opening about it was when I really sort of told the truth to, and I'll keep him unnamed, but one of my other mentors, who you've had on your show, and he opened up different levels of me when I was learning how to be a coach like him, and that was when I really started to look in depth into myself. It was when I was doing NLP, and I remember coming to him at one stage of the process, and I said, mate, this is really bringing up something for me. And I said, I'm just hiding behind humor. And he just goes, yeah, well, you've got to change that. And that was probably one moment in my life that there was a tipping point. That was one of the others.
Wow.
I just feel as if there's a real big issue with it out there.
Of course.
And that's one aspect of my business. It's the addiction side.
Yeah. Well, I mean, as soon as you're vulnerable like that, you give people permission to do the same, which is awesome. I mean, especially in a role as a coach, to be able to give people that permission, because there's all sorts of things out there that people keep a secret, and then as soon as they can be honest about who they are. A lot of people close to them it'll just click and go, oh, that makes sense. I thought you didn't like me. I thought this. I thought that. There's all sorts of things out there, and I can relate to a lot of what you said, and using humour to shy away from things. I've used humour in all sorts of situations. Relationships, business, all through school, use humor.
Yep.
It's a great tool. And if you don't want to talk about the serious stuff.
Yeah. It's such a, the best thing is that when you're living true to yourself, and this is obviously one of my mantras, is conquer the uncomfortable to unleash your potential. When you've conquered that set of truth for yourself, you can then be humorous naturally instead of it hiding what's going on underneath.
Yeah, absolutely. And so tell us about what your business does right at the moment.
So the Addicted to Grow business, which is the one behind the banner behind me that we mentioned, which is hiding the bedroom, the office, I mean. The best part about Addicted to Grow is that it's an online platform now. So there's a basic fundamental program, all about personal development and just the fundamentals. That's online. And then I created the Pjero Mardesic Elite brand. I really wanted to step into giving out the formula and helping businesses with the formula to exceptional leadership. And I believe that comes down to 3 parts, and that is alignment, commitment, and mindset mastery. Now, you can see what's going on right now, the urgency in the world as far as alignment goes. So many leaders are doing it right, but there's that very few that are stuck behind alignment of their values, and they're so disconnected from the cost purely due to their ego or their title, and we see it every day. We see it every day. Now, commitment, I mean, there's a huge difference between walking the talk and then talking the talk, because there's a lot of people that want to change, and then there's very few that are actually committed. It's a big difference. Like, you know, I look up to you as far as like the LinkedIn marketing guy, right? You're committed, Nathaniel. That's a huge thing to say that I'm committed.
Yeah.
And the third thing that I always love talking about is mindset mastery. I love talking about the mind. I love talking about the soul. And it is horrendous how many people actually run away from themselves when they've got to go inside to where the gold is.
Yeah. And you said you had a couple of good weeks in sales before we hopped on?
Yeah, I did.
Commitment.
I definitely got committed. I tell you what. Actually, you know what? I'm gonna share it. And like you said, vulnerability is the key. I'm going to share a story with you. So this year, the first 6 months has been really powerful. Like 2021 was been really, really powerful. Some big numbers. And then somewhere along the line there, I got unaligned.
Yep.
And what happened was, obviously, I was just thinking more about the pocket than thinking about helping people. So I want to share this story in truth. This is a little bit Grant Cardone. I feel like this is a Grant Cardone moment.
Fuck yeah.
And I was, fuck yeah. I was in a room with him this morning on Clubhouse. So it just kind of feels like the right time.
Nice.
So I had my kids and I like to collect the water bottles to give back to the recycling place, right? So there were 3 bags sitting out the back. I had a number of bills come out, and I was sitting with my kids and they wanted ice creams. And I was negative. And I said to myself, all right, boys, let's go and take the bottles away. So we took the bottles to the recycling place. I had $15 left. We got ice creams. We had fun. They've got no concept of money. Obviously, I do. But in that moment was one of those moments where I looked myself in the mirror at night time. The tears are rolling down my face, and I said, never again. Next 2 weeks, massive numbers. It's all about just getting committed, like owning it, really. It's just taking responsibility.
It is. Yeah, absolutely. I need visibility over my sales. So sales is the one thing, like in my business, like because it's one area of my business which like I've tried to delegate several times, and of course kind of come to this place where it's like I do the sales, and so like it's something that I've taken ownership of, and I do the sales, and so it's something that I've also got to be accountable for, like. And so I just need the visibility. Like I've always got this little whiteboard here, and it's always got my target at the top, and it's always got the numbers that I need to fill out. And one way or another, it'll get complete by the end of the month. But I need visibility over it. You know.
Do you know what I really love about that? And this is for Ella, because this is for Ella and Christine, because you know my VA and Ella, right? So they were mocking me so bad about my whiteboard, right? They were mocking me so bad about it. It's next to me, right? They wanted me to go digital. Yeah. So I went digital. Now my income planner is a spreadsheet, right?
Right.
And they mocked me so much about a whiteboard, and I'm like, but a whiteboard, I get to see it visually every single day.
Yeah.
So if you don't have it visually somewhere, people, put it somewhere visual.
Yeah, that works for me for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so what does your ideal client look like, and who don't you deal with?
My ideal client is the golfer, the guy that goes to the charities. Is like, he could be high performance sales, senior executive, corporate leader, anyone that's in those decision making roles.
I see. Yeah.
Where they know who they are. They know that there's a bit of addiction going on, whether that be self-sabotaging. And this is the most important thing. I make what's not okay to talk about, okay to talk about. So the biggest thing for me is the plan, the support, and the healing when I'm talking to those senior execs or those corporate leaders, because they do such like a fucking great job already. They really do. They do an amazing job. They show up all the time. But here's the thing: is that they're also not Superman. They can't do that 24/7. So some part of it's got to give, and that part of it's got to give is part of those, those underlying issues that we all got to face, and that's reality. Who I don't deal with, I want to say this respectively because this is where I started. I know that we just spoke about vision, right? But I no longer write the vision boards anymore, right? I don't write the vision board anymore. I've got the vision board. I know the vision board. It's in my head.
Yeah.
It's on the whiteboard in numbers. It's like when I talk to my kids, it's in when I talk to my kids now. It's a totally different level of mindset now. Like if you want between 7 and 8 figures, you and I both know that the first like 6 figures actually just have to zero out.
Mm-hmm.
It's all that marketing level's got to zero out. You don't even make profit from down there anymore. You know that, right? So when I'm talking at this level, even with my children, it's like, when's the next holiday? Where do you want to go? So I'm even tuning my kids about where can we go. So there doesn't need to be the vision board for them. They got little vision boards, but my clientele now, we don't sit there with cardboard and make vision boards anymore.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. And what are the main challenges impacting the businesses or the business people that you help?
The cultural change has got to come from the top.
Mm-hmm.
So if it's happening at the top, it's happening downstairs because there's no addressing of it. And there's no awareness to what it's costing the business overall.
And have you found that a lot of these dudes, a lot of these businesses, it's become more of a challenge to manage that culture, given that there's this different environment where a lot of employees are working from home. What may have happened quite naturally before, now there kind of needs to be a system in place because it's a lot more. It's a lot harder to create a culture remotely, isn't it?
Yep. Even
it's a lot harder to build trust remotely.
And part of that trust, like I love talking about. Actually, I'm just gonna flip it this way. Businesses are made of humans, and human interaction. They're our highest form of interaction at an energy level is love. Simple. So when you can't show that, you and I have spoken a lot before. So when we get on camera, we just love to have a laugh, and we can already feel it, right? But I couldn't imagine the extent of the excitement when we see each other for the first time in real life. So when you think about business,
we haven't met in real life, have we? I just realised.
No, not yet. So businesses, when they're trying to create this culture, that remotely it's challenging because people are over Zoom now. They're well over it. They're just like, I just got to sit on another Zoom, and it's like there's only so much Zooming you can take. Like you really want to be in person. That's why networking events are so popular still, because sometimes people just want to have a chin wag.
Man, I've got back into networking recently. It was probably 7 years ago. I walked out of my networking chapter on Chapel Street, and I was like, "What am I doing this for?" In 1 hour on LinkedIn, I could create way more leads than I can sitting here with these dudes. And I was just sitting there a few weeks ago, and someone invited me to a networking thing, and I was like, "Hell yeah, I'd love to go to that." I haven't been to a networking thing in ages, and I really enjoyed it. It's a still a small group. If any of you want to come along, you're more than welcome to come along as a guest. I'm a member now. City Beach every second Thursday. We have a lot of fun. Yeah.
Hang on. Can I just go back to my ideal client just for you, just there? Yeah. Anyone in real estate, mate? Real estate? Anyone? No.
Oh yeah. Anyone in real estate?
High performance sales, real estate. Yeah, because one of my other things that I do is sales psychology. So it's another thing that I've developed.
Okay. I know lots of people in real estate. Loads of them.
Cool. Presentation time.
Let's just give some of these dudes a bit of a shout out. We got some fans out there, PJ.
Incredible pal. Oh, here we go. Ella. Here
Hugh
he is.
Grover.
Hugh.
Have you met
That's
Hugh?
Hugh.
Have you met Hugh yet? Keep an eye out for
I've
him.
met him on LinkedIn.
He's an up and coming LinkedIner. Ian's there.
Ian.
We got Oliver's
Ian.
back. He appreciates your
Awesome
vulnerability.
story. Thanks,
Najma.
Najma. The power of
Burn
writing it
down the
down.
whiteboard.
Burn it down. What's that? Glasses in. I hate Zoom. Yes, Ian.
Oh,
yep,
sure.
yep, yep. Oh boy, Pjero, you haven't never do what you
Never met in
met
person.
You haven't met me in person. So if you think this is intense, you wait.
Oh, there she is. Lacey's in the house. Bless her.
Oh, Lacey. Hello.
We were just talking about BX networking in Sydney Beach. We're giving
Yeah, here
a
she
big
is.
plug. Lacey runs the chapter. So there you go.
Hey, Lacey.
Okay. All right. We've talked about culture. We've talked about COVID. Let's talk about mentors. I know you've had a few since you've started your business. Are you working with a mentor at the moment?
Yes, I am.
Are you?
Yes, I am.
You've got to keep this confidential, aren't you?
I'm not sure if I'm allowed to give her a plug or not.
Oh, it's a female.
Yeah. My mentor is Sally Anderson.
Okay.
Sally Anderson, absolute wonderful human. Absolutely wonderful
down.
human. There would be not a day. Well, actually, I'm just going to share this. Sometimes I come up with the crackingest videos. I think they are the best. Like, I'm just like, PJ, that was such a great video. Get that out in LinkedIn.
Sally's like that.
I sent it to her and she's just like, no, you're just being way inappropriate. Like, you can't say that. You're making them wrong. Like, don't say that. And I'm just like, okay, cool. Actually, I remember this. I went to a book launch. I'm just going to give another lady a plug. Jane Turner invited me to a book launch. And I went to Sydney at the New South Wales State Library. And I pre-recorded like a little bit of a keynote for Sally. And I was just standing there and I was like, you know, one of the things that I really love talking about is there. And I was just being real plain, right? And she just watched it and she just goes, who was that? And I was just like, well, I just wanted to, you know, make my point. She goes, don't ever do that again. So like, no, I love it because she keeps me on that. She keeps me at that energetic level that it's just raw and honest. She's like, oh, you got to be yourself. Don't try and hide it. Don't try and be too serious. Just let it all out there because that's who you are.
Do you read many business books? Self-development books?
You know, all those ones that we see. So, you know, do you want me to go through my Audible?
No, well, I was going to ask you what's the one or two books that have had the biggest influence on you and why. But I wanted to check that you read books first.
So for me,
Yeah.
obviously because of the game that I'm in as far as mindset, like everything around exceptionality and owning your like self-mastery. Dark Side of the Light Chasers.
Okay.
And that would have to be also implemented from my mate, Luke Hawkins, who I'll give another plug to.
He's been on the show.
He has.
Mr.
And
Hawkins.
Mr. Hawkins. And Dark Side of the Light Chasers because it really learns your triggers. Like if you understand your triggers, you're going to go far. So that's obviously one area that I teach is understanding triggers and shadow work and stuff like that. And it's not too spiritual, right? Like it's not too far out. It's not too woo-woo. You know, the man that sold his Ferrari, the energy bus, Atomic Habits by, you know, John Clear.
Got that one. Yep.
You know, and then we could start delving into things like The Courage to be Disliked. You know, these are hectic books if you're just starting like your reading journey. But when you start to step into self-mastery and like really understanding it, there's a level of, well, business is 80% psychology, 20% strategy. So no matter what, at the end of the day, if I said to you, Nathaniel Bibby, can you just give me, you know, 2 top tips? And you would just like, do this strategy and do that strategy. Now, if you said they've got to be done consistently, this, the consistency part doesn't come from the strategy. The consistency comes from psychology.
Psychology, yeah.
So when I say the books like, when I talk about the books have the courage to be disliked, there's a level of understanding of the psychology in the book that it's like no one is, you don't even like everybody. So stop trying to make everybody like you. So at the end of the day, that level of psychology has to be appreciated so that you can get where you want to go in this world with your vision, your mission, because not everyone's going to like it anyway. So they'd be some good books if it's...
If you've got any other books you want to recommend, guys, drop them in the comments. Mindset.
Oh, yeah, The Psychology of Success. Yeah, Carol Dweck. That's a good one.
There's a lot of good ones out there, isn't there?
Well, one of the other books that really set the groundwork for what I do is The Four Agreements.
This is one you mentioned as well, Atomic Habits.
Yeah, Atomic Habits.
Another good one. Yeah.
Hang on. Hang on. I'm just going to move the screen.
I'm going to zoom out just so we can see a bit more of your bedroom.
There's another good one.
Oh yeah, Unstoppable Confidence. How to use the power of NLP. I'm going to write that one down. That sounds cool.
Unstoppable. Here's another one.
Oh this guy, Tony Robbins, the man.
The original.
Guys, in September, Unleash the Power Within virtual. I'm signed up. I'm going. I'm doing it from my living room. I got new speakers, sound system ready to go for Unleash the Power Within. Get there.
Now, I'm not sure if I should have returned this. Maybe I should have returned it.
This one's due back in the library. This one's he sneaked from the library, but anyway. What's one of the misconceptions that people have about what you do?
That they think it's all about the porn. That's the biggest misconception. Right. That it's all about personal training and that it's all about porn.
Yeah.
Where the real addiction that I like getting to the bottom of is this self-sabotaging criteria that we play in our head. So the first step in my program under the Pjero Mardesic Elite brand is unearth the truth behind the lies that you've been telling yourself. And when you take a person, an individual, a soul to that level in the first session, and I'm going to reference someone else here, Michael Chapman used the word submission. Well, think about the next 24 sessions you've got together after that one. So the misconception is all the other bullshit that kind of like, I've got to say so that people, well, I'm passionate about saying it, but it's to get to the audience to say, your addiction takes over you. The resistance that you've got to it is going to persistently show up until you really start unearthing what's really going on.
Yeah, absolutely. What does it take these days to be a successful leader, do you think?
Love, honesty, trust, service, acceptance, and truth.
I'm glad you said service. That's a good one. If service is beneath you, leadership is beyond you.
Yep.
That's a good one.
Yep. That's a good one. I'm going to write that down and put Nathaniel's name next to it.
I can't take credit for that.
I'm just going to say,
pick that up from.
reference Nathaniel Bibby, date stamp, 9th of August, 8:33.
Do you know where I got? Do you know where I got that quote from? So
where'd you get it from?
When we could travel around, I would volunteer as a crew member for Tony Robbins events. Because
you've told me.
I got so much out of his events. I wanted to go back as a crew member, and it teaches you so much about service because you're there. There's always business owners and business leaders that volunteer, and you're just there to serve the participants. And one of the things they taught us was if service is beneath you, leadership is beyond you, and it's really stuck with me. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, I always wrap up like and I love the way Simon Sinek talks about it as well. You are at the service of all your people. Like, that's how I say it. I'm just like, every single time I talk to a leader, every single time I talk to a manager or a boss or however they frame themselves, right? I'm just like, you're at the service of them. I remember I remember a session that I had with a car dealership. And because I've been both in service and in sales,
Yeah.
so I understand both. And they call each other the light side and the dark side, but that's their argument. At
Well,
the end of the day,
I think they're
go,
more alike than they are different, to be honest. But
nah, they're very different. They're very different. So one of the things that I was talking about is the two leaders. There was a sales manager with me and a service manager with me, and then the dealer principal, and we were doing this session together around leadership. And I said, in that moment, I said, your staff are out there doing the job. They know what to do. I said, you don't need to control them. They know how to service cars. They know how to sell cars. They're only going to come in here to ask that final deal because you're the person that said, sign off on this. Well, if you gave them the parameters, they wouldn't even come to you.
yeah.
And I love the way that Simon Sinek says it. He's just like, you don't manage the people, you manage the position, and you love the people. If you just love the people and then manage the position of the person, and you tell them the tasks of that position, everything's sweet as. It's when you start like honing in on individuals is when things break down, I believe.
Yeah. Okay, we're gonna have to wrap up in a minute because I know you need a scotch.
I got 2 international clients after this. I can't have a scotch yet.
Have you?
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, you're a
Well,
hustler. It's later where you are as well. It's like 8:30 where you are.
Yeah.
I'll be at least having a wine or something. All right. So this is I got a few curly questions down here, and
Go on. Go on. What are you?
I'm just going to pick one. So if you could have a gigantic billboard with anything on it, getting a message out to millions of people, what would the billboard say, and why? I love it how much thought you put into these questions. I just love it. Every question I've asked you really give it some thought. I appreciate that.
It's a good question. It's a good question. The grass isn't greener on the other side. The grass is greener where you water it.
Yeah, the grass is
And
only greener
why-
because it's fertilized with bullshit. That's why it's fucking greener. All the highlight reels you see on Instagram.
Yeah.
They're all depressed. Don't you believe any of that stuff?
I think the biggest thing that I would put on a billboard would be like if you could get away with it, right? If you could get away with it, it'd be like.
Well, it's a metaphorical question. You can get away with it in this scenario.
Okay, I can get away with it. It just reminds me of something that David Goggins would say. That it'd be like own your own shit, and the world owes you nothing. It's like own your own shit, and the world owes you nothing. That's what I'd put on it.
Love it.
Because that's the
cool.
reality. That when you talk about taking things seriously and making shifts in this world, it's like no one owes you shit.
Yes.
Like, this is part of it.
Well, it's good. It's good for two dudes that went to private schools. We've had our fair share of shit given to us, but to come to a point where, like, that entitlement stuff is really.
Yeah.
It's not certain. I mean, you and I both only really get anywhere in life. We've discussed this when we own our own stuff.
Yeah.
Ownership is where all my successes come from. Or no one can give you achievement. You got to earn it, right? You can't even buy it.
No, you can't even buy it. And like I heard, because I listen to Jordan Peterson quite a lot because I love some of his
He's great.
stuff.
Love him. Yeah.
And even today, he was just talking about like it's a moral obligation for you to be better than what you were yesterday. So when you think about ownership, it's like there is going to become a point in your life where things are going to become terrible. So if you're not keeping in front of that, you will feel terrible. So it's just like it's a blanket statement. You can't go anywhere from that. So you're the only person in charge. But there are so many. In saying that, there are so many people that are there willing to help you. Like.
Yeah,
so many people still try to not invest in themselves, invest in their future. So many people do not do that. And that's like, I even feel as if that's a sabotage cycle. Like just, they'll try and reason with themselves of why not to invest.
Yeah.
Don't make excuses. It's
Where's the best place for people to go to connect with you?
LinkedIn, Instagram.
Yeah.
You can check out my stuff on the website, YouTube. Obviously,
What's your Instagram handle? Addicted to Grow, isn't it?
Addicted to Grow. It's just the way it's spelled. ADICTD. Number 2, and then grow, like as in addicted to grow, as in this, but it's going to be. Oh yeah, there it is.
There you
There
go.
it is. See, it's a sky banner. It goes all the way to the ceiling.
I'm pretty sure when I did this before, it wasn't your bed. Last time we had a session, it wasn't your bedroom. It was the gym, wasn't it?
It was
I'm
the
pretty
dungeon.
sure
Yeah, I was in the dungeon.
You were in the dungeon. The
Yeah,
gym. It was all those weights. I thought that was cool. Get the banner back in the dungeon. Thanks so much for your time tonight, man. I always
man.
enjoyed chatting to you.
Thank you
We'll
very
catch up soon, buddy. Have a good week.
Absolutely. When this lockdown's gone, man, we have to see each other. I'll tell you that. I really appreciate it, Nathaniel. Thank you so much. And if everybody's listening, please follow this guy. He's got some great stuff. He's got some great tips.
Rock and roll. Have a good week in business, guys.